Human in the Loop is excited to participate in the 4th annual Podcasthon. 1 week, thousands of global podcasts, each highlighting a charity of their choice. We're stoked to be profiling the Graeme Dingle Foundation, who empower tamariki and rangatahi through positive youth development programs.
What does it mean to have a human in the loop?
Human in the loop.
Human in the loop. What in the world is a human in the loop?
Being a human in the loop.
AI in the loop. Humans in charge.
Welcome to Human in the Loop. Today we are absolutely honoured to be joined by Sir Graeme Dingle and Lady Jo-anne. Sir Graeme Dingle KNZM, MBE and Jo-anne Wilkinson, Lady Dingle CNZM, LLB, are adventurers, leaders and passionate champions for young people in Aotearoa. Sir Graeme is one of New Zealand's most recognised and experienced mountaineers and explorers, known for decades of challenging expeditions and ascents around the world. And Lady Jo-anne is also an accomplished adventurer, also a lawyer and a very experienced governance leader. And together they started the Graeme Dingle Foundation in 1995, which is 30 years ago, with the vision to make New Zealand, Aotearoa, New Zealand, one of the best places in the world to be a young person. And it continues to be a challenge, but one that you guys have tackled and continue to tackle through the programs of the Graeme Dingle Foundation. And maybe to kick off why we have the privilege of having you here, we were part of Drop Your Boss last year, where as a company we decided that we would put Danu on top of the Sky Tower.
Here it comes! Oh my God, it's actually really fun. Woo! Splat.
So,
Hey!
I think I did all right.
So what's going on with AI at the moment?
ChatGPT's killing it right now. And, the future is bright because AI can't take away an experience like that. And all of you, we're going to have a chat when we get back to the office. I don't have a problem with you throwing me off the tower. I do have a problem with this orange jumpsuit.
To face his fear and plummet all in the name of charity.
It all started from an HR complaint, actually.
And there were more.
Yeah, who knew you could be tossed off a building as a grievance settlement?
I mean, actually, it's maybe I'll start there. I don't know if it was your idea or a good marketing stunt, but the idea of throwing people off a building in the name of raising funds, was that something that you've done as long as the Sky Tower's been open? How long has that been going for?
Gosh, longer than Sky Tower.
Yeah, it started with people abseiling off buildings.
Around the country. So each of our sites where we run programs, they would raise funds by going to a tallest building and having people abseil off. Yeah.
That would have been a lot more complicated.
Yes. Off Sky Tower would have
Yes,
been.
I think if you watch the video, you can see I was shoved.
You went backwards.
Yeah,
too.
that was last minute. That was terrifying because they had clipped me on, and then right at the edge, they're like, start swapping the cables around. I was like, this is not the ideal time to be changing the configuration, guys.
Backwards and upside down.
It ended up being an absolutely beautiful day.
Yeah.
It was.
So
Yeah,
I have it seared into my memory, along with the sinking feeling that comes from being shoved. But yeah,
Shoved in the name of charity.
Fantastic cause.
Shoved for a good cause.
Shoved for a good cause. Did either of you ever do the abseiling, or have you done the Sky Tower jump?
Yeah.
I've done,
Dozens.
Graham's done the Sky Tower, but I've done the abseiling. Yeah, one, but off smaller buildings. Yes.
I'm very height scared. I tackled it a little bit as a teenager, did the bungee thing, and I just don't know if I could do it again. But maybe if I could raise as much money as Danu did,
Yes,
I'm just going to keep.
impressive.
For my ego, was that like collectively with all the companies, we raised about $100,000?
Hey,
Was that one of the top, like?
That's most we've
Lie
ever
to me.
raised.
Really?
It's a competition.
It is?
It's for the
Oh,
children.
cool.
It's for the children.
Hey,
But
look,
yes, you
everything's
did
a
really well.
competition, but help it. You can have an enjoyable competition. So that's very impressive because there was like 7 or 8 companies involved,
And then like 30 or 40 individuals.
Yes.
Yeah, you know the funniest thing, because it's all like a bunch of business leaders. It was quite docile for quite a while. And then I put the hammer down by sending out a whole bunch of like, please help.
Really?
Especially when Bid Foods
Yes. The
came
man.
to the
Yeah.
party and
Yeah.
did the doubling. And then the leaderboard like started to jostle because everyone started to
Good
try a
competition.
bit harder. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
actually a good thing for charity, right?
Yeah.
You've got to find the people who have a really competitive spirit.
Yeah.
yeah, because there's no guilt in it as well, because you know the money's going to kids and a good cause. So you're just like, yeah, I can just unleash the dragon.
This year, if people turn it down, they have to put on a chicken suit and run around the sky tower.
Or they can buy their way out of that as well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Right, so we're holding people to ransom in the name of charity.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Of course.
Isn't there something about like the road to hell is paved
With good intentions.
Something like that. Yeah. We've got to be mindful of that.
But let's go back to the very beginning, because this is where we are in 2025, 2026, 30 years in, throwing bosses off the Sky Tower to raise thousands of dollars. But 30 years ago, what was happening in your lives that you said we need to do something for the kids of New Zealand, and this is the way we're going to do it?
You want to?
Well, we had done a circumnavigation of the Arctic and seen quite a lot of dysfunction and some good places, but we came back here and everywhere we looked we saw highest rate of youth incarceration, highest rate of youth suicide, highest unplanned teenage pregnancy, so just negative youth statistics. And so one night we went to see Once Were Warriors, and that was the moment where we fell off the Sky Tower. We went, you can build a wall around it and pretend it doesn't exist, or let's do something about it.
So we did.
But what was that first step? Did you write on napkins?
Pretty much. We had several friends help us in terms of planning, and we would sit around our kitchen table, and we did a trip, Graeme and I, from Nelson back to Auckland, talking to police, school teachers, kids' parents about what they felt was needed. And then we scanned, if you like, what was happening in youth programs in New Zealand. There was a lot happening at the bottom of the cliff. And Graeme had set up the Outdoor Pursuit Centre at Hillary Outdoors, known as now. And we knew that the outdoors really helped kids with a positive attitude and resilience. And so we knew that would be a factor in what we were doing, but we didn't know where our target group would come from. And what was missing was the group in year 10, so kids second year of high school. They're either transitioned well into high school or they haven't, but the teachers knew them by year 10. So we started thinking about what we could do in year 10, and Project K was born out of that. So a 3-week wilderness adventure, 10 days of community challenge where kids learn how to transfer that newfound sense of competence into day-to-day stuff, and mentoring with a trained mentor for a year. So that was kids with demonstrably low self-worth, and we had developed a self-efficacy survey that allowed us to measure that pre and post. So we knew we were able to make a difference. Yeah, so we did that for 5 years before we started adding programs to the stable.
Jo didn't say was, and this is a tribute to her, we went to Nelson and got in a kayak and paddled north. So we went up the coast and here's an interesting thing. So first morning, we stopped on a beach just north of Nelson. I think it was just south of Cable Bay. And I went into the bush for a poo. And
As you do.
damn me, a little animal came and looked at me from about that distance. Guess what it was?
No, they won't. You have to tell them.
It was the extinct New Zealand otter.
Well,
What?
thought to be extinct. Yeah.
You rediscovered it.
Well,
He didn't know at the time. He
I'm
called it a
sorry.
sharp-faced,
I
blunt
came
nose
out
thing.
of the bush saying, hey, guess what I've just said? What did I say?
Sharp-faced, blunt nose thing.
A blunt-faced, sharp-nosed
Yes,
thing.
something like that.
Yeah, incredible, eh?
Do you think that that's what's the theory we were talking about recently where like if you can expand your net
Yeah,
of opportunity, more wonderful things happen to you?
yes,
Poker?
definitely. What's it called?
Poker.
But you know, like that's a remarkable thing to happen to a person who already has a lifetime of remarkable stories, but you increase the surface area for
It's
potential
true.
of wonderful things, which sounds
true.
like that's what you're trying to give to the kids through
Kids,
your programs.
exactly.
I'll rattle them off now because I have them on my handy dandy card. So the 4 programs are Kiwi Can, STARS, Career Navigator, and Project K. What's the kind of thread that connects them all, or are you got very specifically dealing with very individual and unique problems and age groups across those?
So that's so that all but Project K are dealing with large cohorts of kids, and so we have, if you like, the positive influencers who we train and go into the schools. And so they act as role models, teaching lessons
So
of
can I just
positive attitudes and
talk
values.
about the thinking. So the thinking was, let's stop kids before they get to the Project K.
Yeah.
Which is the year 10.
hopeless feeling.
Yeah.
So it was that sequence.
Yeah. So it's about influencing into a positive mindset and an ability to ask for help and mentoring. So resilience, attitude, widening, as you say, that what's possible idea in my life, and feeling as though they're in charge of what happens in their life somewhat. And of course that increases with age. But really it's about positive role modelling.
Yeah. We're going to get uncomfortable now.
Are you going to talk about your childhood?
No. that was a good childhood, a very good childhood. Spoiled, actually. We'll start with, what was your greatest success story? But before we get into that, what was the greatest failure, and what do you wish you could change out of the program?
I think greatest disappointment for me is we had a strong feeling of collaboration is a good thing, and we don't guard the territory jealously. If you're in a youth development thing and you're effective, we say, let's work together.
Yeah.
And so we went to a very challenged town and we asked 3 charities who were effective and national, would you come with us to this place and let's make a difference?
So that was pre-primary right through to parenting.
And we worked in this town for 4 years and it just made a dramatic difference. The secondary school as a sort of example of what went on, went from 38% truancy and half the kids who came to school stoned to below 5% truancy. Wow. It went from the worst academic results in the country to one of the best. It was just a dramatic change. And then, sadly, the funding ran out. And that to me, that's still the most disappointing thing. So, and it taught us a huge lesson. So this is the second part of the question. Don't start unless you can carry on. Unless you can see the route to sustainability.
Yeah. And how do you achieve that now with the programs?
Well, not all eggs in one basket with funding, so diversification of funding is really important. And always thinking about networks. Because the more people who join, if you like, the cause, I mean, it sounds a bit religious, but, you know, the more likely it is at a community level to be able to carry on.
And ask the government to be a partner, but don't rely on them.
Continuity of funding is the key.
Really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we're talking about the ever-changing landscape, you know, if you look around the world, there's a lot of ideas and ideologies like the pension that, you know, needs to be potentially rethought about pension age because of funding limits, and seeing the world get a little bit more individualistic, I would say, you know, cuts to social services and things like that. I can understand the financial pressure that causes those things, but what do you think the secret is to, or what kind of advice would you give our political leaders to which ones to maintain, which ones to cut? Or
I think it's about evidence base, and let's intervene early, not wait for it to be really expensive when, you know, kids are at the bottom of the cliff and really desperate, because that costs a lot more.
And
how do you
build on good ideas, don't can them. Governments tend to come in and remove things and start new things. It doesn't help.
It's not just governments that do that. We're a nation of, you know, oh, there's a new thing. Let's fund that.
Sometimes just the stayed true.
Well, if you're improving your outcomes and you're still needed in the fabric of society.
And I mean, the world has to do it. The UN should be constantly renewing itself, not just slowly fading away and not being able to challenge the bullies.
There is a difficult thing where, you know, if you're really effective, and then, you know, there's a tendency to go, oh, well, that's actually fine, so that's actually where we should, that's where we could save 2 or 3%, or and I'm not sure what to do against that.
Neither are we.
Feeling. Well, I hope it changes, because
in my opinion, there's not nearly enough really wise people in government throughout the world. I mean, you need a blend. Of course, you need the youthful energy, but you need those people who say, hang on a second, mate. You know, it's the old bull and the young bull story.
How do you maintain the energy for it for 30 years, though? Because the way you talk about the inception of the foundation, it's kind of like a calling. You reach a limit where you're like, well, if not us, then who? But over 30 years, are there points where you feel like, oh, this is a lot, whether it's on your family life or your emotion, just like to keep fighting for the good cause? Because even right now you look around and it's a pretty, sometimes the world can be a hard pill to swallow, and you can get into empathetic distress, and it all feels a bit much, and you wonder, well, like, what's the point?
Well,
so how do you keep going?
It's because we're together. It's not one and one.
But it's also having great people around us.
It's a huge team.
We're 2 of 200.
Yeah, but you didn't start at 200.
No, but we were a bit smaller then than what we were doing.
Yeah.
So, but it is
Just a canoe, and a pointy
and a
nosed
long
otter
extinct
thingy.
otter.
Yeah, that's right. That was only one day.
Yeah. Imagine if you'd needed a pee and you'd gone to the ocean.
Increase your sphere of
Don't
opportunity.
talk about it.
So, what are some of those great stories then that give you that memory of why you do what you do?
Oh gosh, have you been to our Excellence Awards?
No, we meant to last year and the date clashed.
Oh, well, that's it. I mean, when I constantly, daily think about how much there is to do, that event is where I go, and that's why. Because it recharges you with the energy of what you're doing, because the kids are absolutely amazing when they speak.
Many of the kids get up and say, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't have done the program.
And so this is a kid who might have been in a program for a number of years, or one.
Yes, possibly. Yes, if it's a primary school program, the Kiwi Can program, that is every week, well, or every second week, depending on which school, but for their whole primary school time. And, we run into kids today who are adults and go, still, Sonny Bill Williams was a Kiwi Can boy, and he still remembers the laser clap.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that continuity that makes the difference, and for others it's that short, sharp wake up of what's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on the young person.
Yeah, just knowing what opportunities are available can really change a person's direction, right?
And someone believing in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's research that shows that a young person ideally has at least one adult outside of the family that they can talk to, rely on, seek advice from. And that's what we believe in and provide.
Yeah. That's really incredible. Are there similar organizations or similar programs around the world? I'm sure there must be, but are there any ones that you would...
Not many. People have tried to replicate one or two programs in other countries, but what they forget is the value of good governance. That's what holds the whole thing together.
Yeah.
At the beginning, this was our trust. Sir Edmund Hillary, Sir Paul Reeves, Sir John Graham,
Wayne Walden.
Dame Fran Wild,
Yeah.
Wayne Walden, the former owner of Farmers,
Dame Augusta Wallace.
Dame Augusta Wallace, extraordinary
Yeah.
level of governance.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question to jump on that for a second, because those are some pretty influential and remarkable people. Given where the world is, I think about the interesting conversations in public and social media. Do you think that people that have large platforms, great influence, have a responsibility to throw themselves behind causes that could make a difference to a country? Is it fair to give people that obligation, or do you think that it's kind of you had all these achievements, but it's not your thing?
No, definitely they have a obligation, responsibility. When we stood on Maunga Kiki One Tree Hill in 1994 and said, we're going to do everything in our power to stand up for young people, and we dedicate our lives to this cause. But then we pointed at these iconic Kiwis and said, but it's going to take your leadership to make this happen. And that's what happened. They stood up.
I think where people have a platform, and when you think about social media today, there are lots of different platforms, some very positive and some not so. and they have good profile, they would make fabulous ambassadors to support the organisations that are out there doing hard work.
Yeah.
To support, I mean, one of our issues is public profile is quite low because we have a complicated story. We have kids aged 5 through to 24 in programs. How do you say that in a lift? It's so having people behind us helping us spread the word and helping us with the skill sets, capability building in our organisation, so that our public facing material is the best it can possibly be. So websites that speak to people in a way that is better than we can do at the moment, with given our resource. And
part of the strength is the involvement of many companies in this whole thing, the mission. Example, when Chris Liddell was the chief executive of Carter Holt Harvey, he said, your mentor program could help this company, and we can help you by providing people to be trained as mentors. It changed the company and it helped us on the journey, and we replicate that idea through many companies.
Yeah, so Carter Holt Harvey paid us, it was $150,000 a year for 5 years for the naming rights for our mentoring program, which was for Project K Kids. And the evaluation after the trainings and after the year with the young person was very interesting. It said, this is the mentors, I thought I was doing a good thing for a young person, and I have learned so much.
Yeah.
I have become a better parent, I have become a better colleague and a better leader at work.
Wow.
That's
because
wonderful.
you're conscious about how you're interacting with people.
Yeah. And you're probably not probably, but you're coaching them at the same time on how to help someone, and helping someone, you're bound to learn something, aren't you? Yeah.
The training was just the smallest bit of the learning. It was when people were partnered with a young person who was a bit lost. That's where the real learning came from.
Yeah, and support right through the year, so monthly meetings with the group of mentors that you're with.
Yeah.
So
And the young person mightn't even talk to them for 3 months. Just testing. Just testing. And then after that first period, the phone rings and it's the young person saying, can we hang out?
Yeah.
They're testing, does this person really want to be with me?
Can I trust
Can I
this
trust them?
person?
Yeah.
I grew up in Manukau Papatoi, went to Papatoi High, one of the larger,
Yes, huge.
very wide range of decile, always fluctuating.
Yeah.
Bunch of rich kids, bunch of very poor kids, bunch of very calm kids, bunch of very angry kids. You pick it existed at Papatoi High, and boy, did you know about it.
Right.
And I would say that there was a lot of sort of, like you said, testing.
Yeah.
And that was sort of par on course for building a relationship, was you would spend 80% of the time earning the trust.
Yeah.
And then, once it was earned, it was quite forthcoming.
Right.
Because, everyone was running a scam. But I joke about that, but it is quite a thing, right? Because I think what I noticed about that school was, if you had a lot of support, you were quite used to getting support.
Right.
And if you didn't have a lot of support, you're quite used to getting let down a lot.
Right.
Exactly.
And after you've been let down 4 or 5 times, you kind of get tired of it.
Yeah.
And so you don't invest in
That's right.
as much, and you become a bit more tepid. So it was it was a social science petri dish that taught me a lot. And learned how to interact with lots of different people, and what motivates people, and how to approach offering help. yeah, and I think there's a message in that. Like, I think a lot of people sort of assume that people have their hands out, always wanting stuff, and I think that's the biggest misconception about, you know, continuously helping others. Of course, everyone wants to be better or find a way to be better, but it's a very situational thing, and how help arrives and what help it is and in what form. It's not uniform, is it? It's
the Project K kids who've been let down so many times that they've just given up.
Well, they come with a. I mean, we worked in decile, you know, high decile as well as low decile schools, and it's really individual. So you know, you've got kids who feel let down, or kids who have a low sense of self-worth anyway, no matter what their economic situation is. But one of the things that I think, if we were in an elevator and we could say, is that we are
teamwork.
hands up, not hand out.
Yeah.
So it's about improving their lives so they can do it themselves, basically.
And that's
so that's
the
skills
key.
and resilience.
That's the key to the organisation, really. It's treating causes, not symptoms. There are many charities who treat symptoms, and it's not moving the world on.
I want to, with our tech hat on, touch on over 30 years, the way in technology has changed, must have massively impacted not only the lives of the kids you're trying to help, but also the way in which you do business and reach out to them. You mentioned before you need lovely websites to tell good stories. So with where technology is at now and AI, how are you seeing it show up in the work that's being done by the organisation? Are kids worried about what happens in school? Are they being more impacted by?
So we did some research pre-COVID and then during COVID on how kids were perceiving social media, for instance, and the anxiety levels have just continued to go up. They want rules around use. They absolutely do, and recognise it themselves that unfettered use is not good for them. But during COVID, for instance, we were able through media to deliver programs remotely, which we would never have been able to do 30 years ago. You know, so being able to utilise, you know, the expertise and the platforms that are around now to still deliver outcomes for kids while they were still in their homes. I mean,
The first sign that we had a problem with mobile phones was during the Project K program, when we took the phones away from the kids, and it was like they had lost their right arm.
Some kids even saying they wouldn't go.
Wow.
But the result was they started talking to people. They learned how to get on with life without their phone, to go on when it was hurting, to work in a team. They learned all the big life lessons.
And now with this global spotlight on what social media is doing to young people, the gift of having this research to be able to validate what you've probably always known to be true, that kids will perform better, intention increases, social relationships increase, behaviour and impulse control is better if they just spend a period of time away from a phone. I think there was one that came out last couple of weeks ago, I want to say MIT, but I may be misquoting, that 72 hours off a device was long enough to slow some of the addictive compulsions to grab a phone. 2 weeks was enough to almost entirely reverse patterns of behaviour and to drop the addiction completely. And then on the other hand, you have big tech people testifying in court and saying they don't believe social media addiction is a thing.
Kurt Hahn said 80 years ago take someone out of their comfort zone for at least 20 days, you can change their behaviour. And that's what the wilderness part of the Project K program is designed to do.
Yeah. You did a 3-week stint in the bush, didn't you? Without tech,
I
outward
did.
bound?
Yeah, I'm actually not that glued to my phone. I kind of hate it in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
It's a tool
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah,
It's a thing
It
that
means
gets a
shiny
job done.
and-
Yeah. I would much prefer to have a in-person meeting and yarn with no objective for hours on end than
Yeah.
respond to an email.
Yeah.
I hate doing stuff over email. I hate texting. I hate, it's just a big overwhelm. And I've worked hard to I actually got told off by a really good friend of mine. I hadn't seen her in a while when I was quite young. So lucky, actually, in a way.
yeah.
And it was just when I was starting the company. So I was on the phone all the time. And I hadn't seen her for about 2 years in person. And we went out to dinner and I had the whole phone and she just, within 2 minutes, just gave me a serve. And I realized it just crept up on me. I realized that my behavior had just changed to be, because if you're always available, people are always
That's
going to
right.
want time with you.
Yeah.
Always on.
Yeah. And and she just gave me a good serve and I was like, apologize, turn the phone off.
I mean,
And now when I'm with people, when I'm with my family, when I'm with my parents,
yeah,
it might only be an hour or a half or with my sister or whatever,
yeah,
but everything's off. And that's the time I can allocate to it. It doesn't mean I'm sacrificing work time, but I'll stop and I'll turn off the phone and not respond and sit down with them, even if it's 5 minutes, and just pay them attention.
Yeah.
It's made a world of difference.
Believe most of the big adventures I've done, I've had no communication with the world whatever. No way of contacting anyone. I mean, I could go on a big wall somewhere, be in danger every day, and not be able to contact anyone out in the outside world.
Yeah. It reminds you the real world's real.
Yeah, that's right.
What have you tried and used AI? You must be thinking of this from a governance perspective. Have you had a?
We do. I mean, the organisation uses it constantly, but
Really speeds things up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, interesting for me, I adopt things very slowly.
Not quite a Luddite.
But
No, there's a thing. I don't
Sorry, Graeme.
I don't like to use the first version of stuff.
No.
right,
Neither.
I've been in tech for long enough that you should always get the second or third version. And this
Right.
applies to airplanes, cars, cell phones,
Yeah.
TVs,
Yeah.
in that order.
during our last little holiday, we were 3 or 4 weeks in Europe having fun, and I was writing a book about what we have to do if we're going to survive on Earth.
Nothing
And-
small. No, nothing.
I identified.
Sounds like a stressful holiday, actually. No, I'm kidding.
No, well, it was thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It hit a cliff when
Not
I
literally.
Googled on Professors Dawkins and Hawkins,
Oh, yeah.
and they rubbished the Gaia theory, James Lovelock's Gaia theory.
All right.
I don't rubbish the Gaia theory because I've seen too much of the interconnectedness of all matter. But when I wrote the notes for this book, I went straight to AI. AI could write this book in 2 days, where it would take me probably 12 months to write it.
But that's just taking the observations and learnings, which is the hardest part,
Yeah.
and then putting it into a format that's digestible is arguably the easy part. What would it look like to have New Zealand succeed, to be the best place in the world to be a young person? What's your North Star?
For me, it would be that every child and young person has a sense of well-being and resilience and a sense of opportunity and aspiration when they go through and finish school. And so no matter what the world looks like, they are in a very positive space to do what they feel they want to do to be the best person they can be.
Yeah.
Yes, we had a population with a sense of purpose, an entire population who had great hope in the future and a sense of purpose. We would be the greatest little nation on earth.
We need that hope right now because it's uncertain. The future is uncertain and the kids are growing up without knowing what their adulthood will look like, and we almost skirted in there.
Yeah.
We thought we knew what it looked like to get to this age, and it's starting to change.
Look through all of history.
Yeah.
Doesn't last more than 20 years.
We've been lucky.
Goes normal and weird, then normal, then weird.
Just really just 20-year cycles?
It's something to do with, someone's actually done some study on this. Basically, it's the longevity of generations.
Right.
Oh, like the impact of a
Yeah,
specific...
because you grow up with certain values and then you carry those values forward. And so whenever the environment changes around you, you resist according to your value system.
Right.
So basically, the longer and longer that people live, the longer and longer that values and generations kind of clash.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's also been tied to technological advancements?
Well, technology's
it's
really
speeding up
thrown
now?
in, and this happened in the sort of there's a couple of technological ages where technology went from didn't change for 100 years and then it suddenly changed. The first one was like sail ships and then electrical age and the industrial age. So it's happening again.
Yeah.
And it's because technology improves at a rate that no one can
It's
acclimatize
exponential,
to. And so you've got a whole bunch of vested interests. I'm wording this in a way that sounds a bit negative, but it's not meant to be.
No.
It's just that, like a simple example is regulation. It's here to try to protect us. But how does it deal with something like artificial intelligence, right? The vested interest there is regulation is needed in a free democracy in order to not let things run rampant. Whereas the alternative vested interest is progress that AI might be able to bring. So those are two positive outlooks on vested interest, but they clash.
Yeah.
And so that creates the uncertainty because the clarity is not there.
Yeah.
In that one example. And so you've got the same thing with ideologies, you've got the same thing with resources, and it kind of plays out through society. But the comforting thing is it's not new.
No.
It's always resolved because
Well, I'll point to that book there,
Yeah.
Humankind, A Hopeful History, Rutger Bregman. You can try really hard to see humanity for the positives. And with the types of mentors that you bring on board, the work that you guys have done and your company continues to do, or the foundation continues to do, erring on the side of we can be much better.
We can.
Always striving for better.
Always.
Make better happen.
Make better happen.
That's our company motto.
Fabulous.
Is there anything else you'd like to say as I close?
Well, we just appreciate people like you guys getting behind us, and we can't do it without people like you.
It's
honestly.
easy to push him from behind. That's
Well, that's next year's objective. It's like upside down.
Thank you so much for coming in. I can't wait to go and read more about the adventures that you've had, maybe understand what it'll take like to live in a new world. And I'll be thinking about that otter probably all day.
Right. I hope it's
Graeme found this guy.
We're also responsible for the Takahe. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the time.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
coming in.
Thank you.